We bought the house when we were married.
You make Mr. Painswick sound rather a rough diamond, Lady Grantham.
Marmaduke wasn't a rough diamond, was he, Mamma?
When Paul Giamatti was announced to be returning for Downton Abbey, the grand finale, fans were pretty shocked, and honestly, he was too. Giamatti had only appeared once, way back in Season 4, as Harold Levinson, Cora Crawley's eccentric American brother. At the time, it really didn't seem like a character who was going to come back, let alone be important. But now, years later, he's not just back, he's back in a big way. In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, Giamatti opened up about how unexpected it was to be invited back into the world of Downton. He said he was really surprised when creator Julian Fellowes gave him the call. And considering how small Harold's role was the first time around, he wasn't exactly expecting to become a major part of the final chapter. But that's exactly what happened. He joked that somebody thought it was a good idea to make me very important in this final film, which immediately raised a few eyebrows. Giamatti didn't spoil anything, of course, but he did tease that Harold plays a key role in how the whole series wraps up. According to him, I do something of real significance, good or bad I'm not going to say, but it makes a big difference to how everything ends. So now the big question is, what exactly is Harold Levinson up to? While Giamatti didn't spill the details, fans won't have to wait too long to start piecing it together. The movie's still 6 months out, but with marketing slowly ramping up, like the release of the first poster featuring Lady Mary, it's only a matter of time before we start seeing trailers and getting more hints. The first footage from the movie was actually shown at CinemaCon, giving us our first real look at what to expect. According to those who saw it, the scene opened with a classic horse track shot, followed by Carson announcing, "Welcome to 1930. We then catch glimpses of Lady Mary and Lady Edith, and then, one by one, each familiar face returns to Downton. Mary in particular stands out, wearing an eye-catching red outfit. There are parties, celebrations, and finally, Robert placing a kiss on his hand and gently touching the side of the Abbey, clearly a tribute to everything the estate has meant to the family. So even though we don't have the full story just yet, this little taste gives the impression that the final movie will go for a heartfelt and emotional conclusion. It makes sense, especially since the show has always leaned into how changing times affect the Crawleys and their staff. Now that it's 1930, we're stepping into a new decade that brings plenty of change, and probably a few challenges. The last movie, A New Era, took place in 1928, so we're getting a bit of a time jump. And while we can't say for sure whether the Crawleys will say goodbye to Downton forever, that final shot of Robert with the Abbey feels like a moment of closure. Maybe not sad necessarily, but definitely sentimental. With all the parties and joyful scenes mentioned, it sounds like the grand finale is going for that bittersweet but hopeful tone, the kind that leaves you misty-eyed but smiling. Set in 1928, Downton Abbey the grand finale could beautifully reflect the seismic social and political shifts of the era. With the passing of the Equal Franchise Act, women over 21 finally gained equal voting rights with men, a milestone that could spark meaningful conversations among Lady Mary, Edith, and even the downstairs staff like Anna and Daisy. Politically, the rise of the Labour Party was changing the national mood, unsettling traditional aristocrats like Lord Grantham while offering hope to more progressive voices such as Tom Branson. The Crawleys could also react to the news of Amelia Earhart's daring transatlantic flight, inspiring younger characters like Marigold or Sibby, while Dr. Clarkson might mention Alexander Fleming's recent discovery of penicillin, hitting at a new age of medical miracles. The impact of talkies could continue from the previous film as the silent film era gives way to sound, possibly reigniting Lady Mary's connection to Jack Barber or pulling Edith into publishing coverage of the booming film industry. Meanwhile, global headlines like the signing of the Kellogg-Briand Pact to renounce war might be discussed at dinner, reflecting the fragile optimism of the interwar years. Across the Atlantic, Harold Levinson could hint at economic concerns bubbling in America, an ominous prelude to the 1929 crash. Fashion and technology also play their part. With flapper trends in full swing, younger characters might embrace modern styles, amusing or shocking the older generation. Electric appliances and motor cars are becoming increasingly common, creating both convenience and comic frustration downstairs, especially for traditionalists like Mr. Carson or Mrs. Patmore. Even the emergence of television and developments in aviation could be casually mentioned, showcasing how rapidly the world is transforming. The 1928 Olympic Games in Amsterdam, where women competed in athletics for the first time, and early signs of Princess Elizabeth's quiet public presence could subtly underline a thematic current of legacy, progress, and the promise of future generations. All of this would weave together to create a final chapter rich with historical texture, showing the Crawleys poised at the threshold between a vanishing aristocratic world and a bold, uncertain modern age. Still, this won't just be emotional because the franchise is ending. Maggie Smith's absence will cast a long shadow over the film. Violet Crawley was such a big part of the show's heart and humor that not having her around will be felt by every character and every fan. Even though her character passed away on screen in A New Era, this being the first film released after the actor's real-life passing makes it even more poignant. So yes, while we might laugh and cheer throughout the movie, don't be surprised if a bunch of tears are shed too. But not everything is sunshine and roses heading into the final movie, especially when it comes to Lady Mary. As one of the series' standout characters, you'd think she'd get a send-off that feels complete and satisfying, but early signs suggest that might not be the case. One big clue? Matthew Goode isn't confirmed to return as Henry Talbot, Mary's husband, and that's a pretty big deal. Goode didn't show up in A New Era either, reportedly because he was busy filming The Offer for Paramount+. Now, it looks like his schedule may have clashed again, as he was working on Department Q during much of the filming window for the grand finale. So it's possible Henry is once again just gone. Which is kind of awkward, because A New Era already had to explain away his absence, saying he was off racing cars or something. That excuse worked once, but if he's missing again, it starts to feel like Mary's storyline is being shortchanged. After all the ups and downs she's had, especially the heartbreak with Matthew, a lot of fans were hoping she'd get a more hopeful ending. So now the filmmakers are in a bit of a bind. Either come up with a new explanation for Henry's absence, go the dramatic route with a divorce or off-screen death, or just ignore it. None of those options are ideal, but the good news is that Mary's story still has potential. There are plenty of ways the writers could give her closure, even if Henry's not around. For instance, they could lean into Mary's independence, her love for her family, or even her relationship with her children. She's always been complex, sharp, cold at times, but incredibly loyal, so giving her an ending that honors all those layers is still possible. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.